G'day guys, welcome back to Beyond. Today we're going to be looking at the Iranian war that sort of happened over this weekend. I'm recording of this is the 2nd of March, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's been a wild time for the world. Obviously, the Dubai airport's been shut down. It's one of the world's largest airports. I think 68 million people go there through that airport a day, as opposed to, say, Bangkok airport with sort of 30 odd million. But this guy here, Ken Kao, is going to go through the strategic suicide that Iran has entered. And it's not just the implications of Iran, it's actually the implications of the second largest economy in the world, which is China. So without further ado, let's get into it. If you haven't been here already, please like and subscribe. Let's get into this one.
Strict. Iran, the US and Israel just launched strikes against Iran. And while everyone is staring at the explosions in Tehran, I want you to look somewhere else. Look at Beijing, China. Because this war isn't just Israel and the US versus Iran. It is a direct hit on China's geopolitical blueprint. And if Iran collapses, China doesn't just lose a partner, it loses a core pillar for its global dominance. And let's get something straight. Iran isn't just another Middle Eastern state. Iran is the cornerstone of China's West Asia strategy. China and Iran signed a 25-year comprehensive strategic partnership. Why? Well, cheap energy, sanctions evasion, regional leverage, dollar bypass. Around 90% of Iranian oil exports go to China. And why China? Because China buys it cheap. Because China settles it in Chinese yuan. Because China keeps it outside the US dollar system. And here's the genius or the flaw of the whole thing. So Iran gets Chinese yuan, and then Iran spends that Chinese yuan buying Chinese goods. And the money goes right back to Beijing. So it's a closed loop. And sometimes that oil doesn't even say Iran on paper. It says Malaysian blended oil. So on paper it's Malaysian oil, but in reality, Iran. Sanctions workaround, currency experiment, geopolitical lifeline. And when the big Chinese banks, don't want exposure, these deals go through smaller institutions like Kunlun Bank, based in Xinjiang. Compartmentalized, quiet. This is the strategic architecture. And this war just shook it. Now here's where Iran made a catastrophic error. Unbelievable. Iran didn't just retaliate today. Iran fired missiles across the Gulf. Missiles flew over Bahrain near the US 5th Fleet headquarters. And UAE, the debris even killed a civilian. Qatar, the missiles intercepted, no damage. And Jordan, I believe 2 missiles got shot down. And Saudi Arabia, of course, explosions reported. Now, none of these countries attacked Iran. Some are neutral, some were mediating, some were literally maintaining diplomatic back channels. And just in one morning, their airspaces were violated by Iran. Minimal damage. Most missiles got intercepted. But in the process, Iran handed Gulf states legal and political grounds to unite and align against it. That is the worst self-sabotage you can think of. And Saudi Arabia just released a statement. It condemned Iran's aggression in the strongest terms. It called the Iranian strikes a flagrant violation of sovereignty and pledged full solidarity. And then came the statement that that's going to change everything. So Saudi Arabia is saying it is placing all its capabilities to support these countries in all measures they take. All capabilities, all measures. Interestingly, 1 month ago, Saudi was balancing between Tehran and Washington. And Iran just forced the choice today. You don't get neutrality after ballistic missiles enter Saudi's airspace. Iran just did what the US couldn't do for months. Iran unified the Gulf states against Iran. Great job. Now let me show you another shockwave and the collateral damage. Dubai is closed. The busiest international airport on earth, Dubai International, suspended operations. Hundreds of flights canceled and delayed. So it's not just regional disruption. This is now a fracture in the global aviation network. And Dubai, as you know, is not just another airport. It is the connecting artery between Asia, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Now the flights are rerouting, and oil will be spiking soon. And remember, the Strait of Hormuz moves about 21 million barrels of oil per day. So I think pretty soon we can expect another oil supply shock coming and more inflation with it. And every hour Dubai stays closed, costs just multiply. Tourism, finance, trade, logistics. The UAE built its model on being safe, right? On being neutral and connected. And now it's shut down because missiles flew through its airspace. Who would imagine that? UAE, one of the safest country you can think of. So Iran just shut down the economic engine of the Gulf. And that bill will be coming due soon. And UAE will make Iran pay dearly. Now let's zoom back out. If Iran destabilizes, China will be the biggest loser. China loses a sanctioned oil supplier, a yuan settlement partner, a Middle East foothold, a weapons laboratory, a Belt and Road anchor in West Asia. And here's the part no one in China likes to admit. China's Middle East strategy depends on stability without too much commitment. China doesn't want war. China doesn't want to help out its partner in blood and sweat. But Iran just made war unavoidable. And China's discounted oil lifeline is going to disappear soon. And if Hormuz closes, energy shock hits China harder than anyone. This war matters far beyond Israel. It hits the balance sheet of the world's second largest economy. China can say goodbye to its huge trade surplus if oil is spiking. And Iran is bound to lose badly. It forced alignment. It gave everyone in the Middle East a common threat. I can't believe it. That they retaliated against everyone. And this coalition the US struggled to assemble, Iran may have just assembled it in just one morning. That is a strategic miscalculation of historic scale. The next 72 hours will be really interesting. Let's watch out for joint statements, military integration. It's no longer a regional war anymore. This is a stress test for the China-Iran axis. And Iran have just overplayed his hand. So buckle up. This is not ending in 72 hours.
Yeah, I mean it's it's pretty evident that this is going to be an ongoing thing. And as you touched on, as Ken touched on, they are closing down the Hormuz Strait, which is the main sort of thoroughfare for those boats, those vessels to bring the oil through to the rest of the world, those trade routes. And this is with Dubai's airport shutting down, this is a global event in a way because a lot of people that want to get to Australia or they want to get to other parts of the world have to go via Dubai. That's like a stopover. So the global aviation network is disrupted greatly by this, and a lot of people are going to be copping the bill for Iran to shut down that strait, and a lot of the Western countries are going to be the ones, and like China as well, having to suffer. There'd be higher rates of inflation that would be higher cost of the fuel station to pump up your car with fuel. Oil is obviously going to go up to potentially over $100 a barrel. It's sitting at $70 a barrel at the moment. So there are a lot of factors here. Interest rates could go up as well. Here in Australia, that's probably more so than any other country because we have a lot more mortgage debt than any other country. So what do you guys reckon? Comment down below. Was this war avoidable? It's one of those things where we know who's in control. It's not Trump. It is Benjamin Netanyahu, and he's the one calling the shots in America. It's pretty evident now, and a lot of people, luckily are waking up to the fact that America isn't America. It's owned by another country. Join the dots. And that other country is where Benjamin Netanyahu is from. So, you know, they are calling the shots. They are getting what they want. They've got Venezuela. They got some guy from New Mexico as well. These drug cartels, all for oil, by the way. And then they attack Iran. But the other factor here that Ken didn't mention was that the Iranians were a part of this network or a part of this clear sort of path that America wanted to take over was the fact that they weren't a part of the Rothschilds banking system. And so there's two other countries that don't have the Rothschilds banking system. And that one is North Korea, and the other one is Cuba. But the other country as well is going to be Turkey that they potentially go for next, Iran, or sorry, Israel. So watch this space. It is crazy times in the Middle East yet again, just like Afghanistan. And these wars, these proxy wars, whatever you want to call them, people are even saying that this is the start of World War III, even though obviously we've had the Ukrainian and Russian war. But the axis of power is deeply affected by this attack on Iran because you had Iran, you had China, and Russia. Obviously, North Korea, they're the ones that again America's going to do something with because they've got their own banking system, and as I mentioned before, Cuba as well. So again, this is just the tip of the iceberg and another distraction from the Epstein files. But what do you guys reckon? Comment down below, like and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one.